Hold on. Okay, we're live. Go.
Good evening, listeners, and welcome to the Gray Area. I'm W, and here with me is C and J. Say hi, guys.
Hey
Hi, guys.
guys.
don't say hi. Like, hey, guys.
We already did, so
Okay. Anyways, thank you again for joining us tonight in our podcast. For tonight, we'll be talking about a very serious topic, or I guess a topic that's kind of in our current lingo, specifically toxic masculinity. Cue what do you call that noise?
Dun, dun,
Ominous noise.
dun, dun.
I'm
It's
sorry if you have to be corny. And- anyways, so basically tonight, the three of us will be talking about the different, basically what how we understand toxic masculinity, what its description, how do we think it exists, or is it something just in a made up concept, or is it really in the psyche of every male and stuff like those. Uh, so sit down, buckle up. Tonight's gonna be a very interesting and we really hope you'll be able to, I guess, share with us an opinion or two on toxic masculinity. Am I right, guys?
yeah, I guess it will be an
yeah,
interesting
pretty
topic.
much. That's why we do this, right?
Right. Okay, to start things off, we'll be talking. I want to ask my fellow members in this podcast if, to them, what is toxic masculinity? Describe to our viewers what toxic masculinity is. Jay, you go first.
Okay. So how I think about toxic masculinity is it's um it's a concept in which it's an umbrella term for how people talk about mainly traditional or stereotypical male tendencies or male male roles that they should play in society. It's it associates men with these sorts of tropes, these sorts of tendencies and how to act, and sort of in encourages for me misogyny, homophobia, aggression, stuff like that. It's
Mm,
sort of that umbrella term, if you will,
right,
for those
right.
types of stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Jay. I think it's really more of like a conservative, or it's really an umbrella term when it comes to conservative maso or
Yeah,
machismo,
yeah,
conservative machismo values, traditional values, all about male domination, or at least male preference when it comes to certain things or certain discussions, or when it comes to, for example, in work. How about you, C? Do you agree with Jay in his definition, or maybe you might also give us another take on toxic masculinity that we weren't able to take up?
Generally, I agree with Jay with this. But for me, I think, oh, maybe not for me, but for some people, it may just be something that's a hoax. Yeah, pero it's definitely something that people perceive, what people has perceived normal, when in truth it's really harmful to the society or to women and or men.
yeah. I think it's harmful for both parties,
Mm,
and yeah, we I agree with C as well when she says that some people consider it to be normal or
mm,
non-existent. I mean, if for for example, the key word there is traditional.
mm,
So if, for example, we're used to this type of tendencies or we're used to these types of tropes and stuff,
mm,
then we don't see the harm in them because we've gotten used to it. So I
right.
think that's the key word there. It's
Mm,
being normalized
mm,
by our culture.
right,
So
right.
Yeah, true.
Mhm. I totally agree with you guys. I mean, I think the concept of toxic masculinity is really ingrained in our culture. For example, having like that brusco attitude, even in even to a certain extent to our to the different mediums for artistic ventures, right? For example, movies. We've always seen like these machismo, these brusco uh characters.
Dwayne the Rock
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah. I think we all know too well when it comes to like certain action movies. We've always ingrained or we've always seen this concept of having like damsels in distress, and you have like this hyper masculine male who somehow acts really cool, acts like a jerk, but somehow
Yeah, he
uh,
saved the day.
candidate for the leading for the leading lady, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
somehow he saves the day. Somehow in movies, men always save the day. So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Men
Yeah.
always
I mean,
like they always have like this attitude of like they're men or they're really like good really strong big men, right? Yeah. I think the both of you guys were able to say earlier that it causes harm to society in itself and even to men in general. So the next question really here is: do you have any experiences with toxic masculinity, or maybe there are certain was there like a specific time in your life when toxic masculinity was really prevalent, and that somehow it caused you harm, or it somehow caused you to lose some of your confidence or general outlook of yourself? Maybe we could, since we started off with J, maybe we could start off with C this time. C, could you share with us some, maybe if you have like really experiences with toxic masculinity? Oh, but before that though, I understand that this discussion is really a tad bit controversial. It could be a tad bit vulnerable, maybe to some of us who might have really bad experiences with toxic masculinity. So I just wanted to reiterate to see that this is a safe space. If you don't want to share certain details, we're okay with that. Um, but nevertheless, if you could share with us your experiences with toxic masculinity, and if it somehow affected you very negatively in your life.
Thank you, W. I appreciate that. Um, First I can the first that can come in my mind is catcalling. It's some people view it as something normal, just maybe just saying hi to women or girls just walking down the street. A simple hi, for men or boys, they think it's not harmful, but so when said in a very predatory way or when said with like malicious intent, it really makes us girls and our women vulnerable. It makes us self-conscious and it makes us feel like somehow a few minutes from now we're gonna be approached by them and or maybe possibly touched by them. So I
Mm-mm.
think that's one of the eminent prominent toxic masculinity I can share with you guys. One experience is also when men doesn't want to be corrected. If there is something, let's say I told you that this certain thing is supposed to be done this way, and then you don't believe it, so you tend to do the opposite of what I told you, and then you find out that I was actually right, and then you just say, people just these men just say, you just got lucky or something like that. So of course, this can be perceived also with kind of personal issues with that certain guy, but I think if it happens to a lot of guys, I think it's also part of that toxic masculinity.
Like being that thinking that you're always right all the time, right? Like that's my
Yeah,
decision. My decision is the right decision, no matter if it's wrong, right?
yeah. Or if I'm a man, you should listen to me, and I'm the
Right,
more
and like never
spiritualist
backing
stuff.
down. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
stuff like that.
yeah. Uh, Going back, just want to ask. I'm sorry, but how often does catcalling happen in your life? Is it really is it often? Does it happen quite a lot? Because I understand catcalling is really one of the definite traits of toxic masculinity, and although unfortunately, I think at some point in our lives, Jay and I might have even catcalled women prior, or when we didn't know any better, as of or
Yeah.
we didn't know the things that we didn't know now, right? So how often does this happen? See, and um,
Mm, yeah.
yeah.
It happens quite a lot. I can't really say. Maybe in a day, there's a probability that it has happened once or twice, even more times than that. But it
Mm,
actually it matters the places you go to and
mm,
the places you go to, the roads you walk in, the yeah, it I think it contributes also to that thing. So let's say I was walking down Colon Street or somewhere.
mm,
People there, we don't really know a lot of people there, and there are a lot of strangers, and also there are a lot of people selling just by the streets, and sometimes they just casually say hi, hi miss, and then no, not really said like that. It's not said like that. It's more said like hi miss, like it's they're just sending that kind of vibe that they want to connect or something, and
right.
it's really creepy if it's
Mhm,
I don't know. And sometimes when you're looked up and down,
uh-huh,
and it also happens quite a lot if for example when you wear shorts, let's say
right.
you were going to a gym or having a run somewhere in IT Park. And then just because you were wearing shorts, people always, no, not people, men always have these tendency to catcall you or say nasty things like, papahanin mo, mister, and you're like, they're just, and even like, pagsit-sit, you know,
Mhm,
it's really
yeah.
creepy. So
I,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really sorry that you went through all of these things, Asino. I really that's the purpose of this discussion. We want to be able to dissect. We want to be able to really go into the details, in a sense, and why this happens. As a guy myself, I really want to say sorry that it happens to you, because it's really a sad truth currently, and especially in our culture. Right? We somehow guys like me and Jay, somehow has this notion that it's okay to do that, that it doesn't really cause any harm. And here you are, and maybe actually a lot of my friends who are girls who share or tell me that it really makes them uncomfortable, or at some point they even get harassed just by from having like a simple, not really like from having from starting off with a cat call, then getting harassed. So it's a really difficult thing to be worried about, especially if it's
Yeah.
like a normal day, right? I mean, of course, you just want to have like a normal day, just jog or just do normal things, but then you always have to think about uh, you have this uh basically this inherent or this thing that exists currently in a culture that doesn't make you comfortable, or that doesn't make you do the things that you want to do comfortably, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really
Jay,
sad.
yeah, Jay, what are your thoughts, or uh, what are your what are your thoughts about this concept, or what C said?
So me, yeah, completely. I feel that's one of the primary like evidences of toxic masculinity. And I feel that I like I might have been a suspect of actions like that before. I mean, you and me, I think when you're younger, you feel that like you have control, or because you are a man, you have that ability to be in control. and you're ignorant to that because
Right.
for the entirety of your life you've been programmed that this is the way how the world works. So yeah, it's quite evident, and primarily most people who say that toxic masculinity doesn't exist or that it doesn't it it it's made up is what they would say is it's not true because
Mm.
it it it's all, I mean, these types of traits are normal. They say it's normal, but the
Mm.
fact that they are normal is why it's wrong or why it does exist.
Mm.
Because for the longest time, maybe we've gotten used to how Western society works, wherein focuses more on um, a patriarchal side of things,
Right.
where men control and women are in the taken as the back seat. I mean, in the back seat,
Mm.
or just helming the home and stuff like that. So
Mm.
that's why people would normalize it. But now, us here in the 21st century, we know better. We know that there is no difference between a man or a woman, or how a man's brain works than a woman's brain works.
Mm.
These types of stereotypes, they're not stereotypes because they are scientific or because they exist, but they're just stereotypes because we think that they are. So I think that's one of the catcalling, the one that Czar pointed out earlier,
Mm.
or not easily admitting your mistakes. Those are signs of toxic masculinity.
Definitely, yeah.
Not, yeah, they're definitely signs of it.
Mhm. See,
Yeah,
I'm
how about you? Okay, so
sorry. I just want to thank you so much, right, for sharing with us your experiences. I know it could be it's a difficult topic or it's a difficult thing to share about. So, uh, I'm so thankful and I'm very proud of your courage as well for actually talking about it or actually sharing with us that this actually happens to you as well. Um, Later on, of course, we would also want to know what Jay and I could do to, or what Jay and I could learn from you, uh, to actually help our fellow men to avoid these types of concepts or to avoid these types of activities. Uh, yeah. So
yeah,
thank
that would
you.
actually be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to know we would love to know see how we can actually move forward or how we can actually fix this current issue. Okay. But before that, though, if it's okay, maybe we could also, Jay was sharing to me earlier prior to this podcast that maybe you also had several experiences of toxic masculinity, especially because of especially because of your appearance and the like. So, Jay, if you could also share with everyone with everyone who's listening, what was your experience? Again, you don't have to share information that might be sensitive or that could be or you're not comfortable in sharing about. Jay?
Yeah, I don't mind. It's
Mm.
uh yeah, the one other thing is a common misconception is that people would think that toxic masculinity only would affect um women, like m- tendencies of the I mean, these types of traditional tendencies would only affect women, like catcalling and stuff like that. But men also suffer because as a man, you're expected to be either strong-willed, tough.
Mm.
You're expected to be sort of this person who can take care of himself, to be tough, to be strong, to be someone that doesn't shake or does. So one of those primary things is that real men don't cry. That always gets me because um,
Mm.
as a man, you're being programmed since you're young to suppress your emotions because you're not supposed to be crying. You're just supposed to be a man, or you should be someone who would be crying a lot, or you should be tough. You should be athletic. Now, as a person who's not as athletic or not as tough, or um, well, you know me in real life, W, right? I'm
Right.
not very tough, or I'm not very strong. I'm more of a shut-in type of person. I like staying at home. I
Mhm.
like playing video games. That's my type of thing. Now, it's difficult for me to associate with my father before, or his my or some of my uncles, because they're the machismo type of guy. They love um going to the range during weekends, and then firing rifles, stuff like that. Um, so, well, I remember like this one event when I was like 13 or 12. Like, um, my dad was at the time in the room. He was really proud to show me something. He took took a case out of his bag or something. Inside it, there was like this Beretta or this pistol, or I don't know what that was. He was like brandishing his gun in front of me, showing it to me. It was like he wanted me to like hold it or something, and then like just try to aim it, but it didn't feel right for me. Like I felt like, you know, scared because there was a gun in front of me, and it was like 12. So um, it feels like it felt at the time that he was expecting me to pick it up and then, enjoy this heavy piece of metal in front of me that could,
Mhm.
possibly take a life. So I don't know. Um, I told him that it felt scary, and like he felt disappointed because, like, of course he's proud of showing this weapon to me, and like I don't know. He, like, I could really see in his eyes that he was very disappointed in how I reacted, because um maybe he expected, like, I'm a guy, so I should proper show that weapon some enthusiasm, but I didn't. So
Right.
that alone is a symptom of toxic masculinity. That alone is something in my memory that really echoes back that identity for me. Um, yeah, aside from that, I'm not very athletic, so people would always look down on me, like,
Mhm.
you're a guy, you should be athletic, you should be into some sport, or
Yeah.
you should be strong, you
Right.
should be able to open a can of pickles for your girlfriend or stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, those are the normal things that are, you know, pressuring guys every day, and
Mhm.
those are small things, but that a symptom nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you, Jay. To our listeners out there, you might not know this, but Jay and I go way back. I actually remember Jay telling me this story when I think we were first year or sixth grade. I'm just not sure. That you told us that your father showed you this pistol, right? Yeah, but yeah, you're right.
That's really scary though.
Yeah, definitely, it's terrifying. I could just imagine being a
I
kid.
also remember, like,
Mm,
when I told you the story, because I knew that my dad was disappointed in me when he he showed me that gun. Like, I could see it in his eyes. He was disappointed when I felt scared. I told him,
mm,
pa, or di,
mm-hmm.
hadlok lagi ko na pwede rin may tago or stuff like that.
Right.
Like when we were sharing, and we were like avid, I mean, history buffs at that time. We were
Right,
really
right.
interested, and
We were
so I didn't
wondering.
want to. Yeah, so we were talking about like stuff like this. I told you about the gun. I excluded the part where like I felt like I was kind of
Mm,
scared, or I told
yeah,
him to. I just told you that he showed it to me, but I
right,
never told you the part where I felt scared, or
right.
because
Mm,
because part of toxic masculinity is, trying to to show no emotion.
Yeah,
So
to
that
be
that was
cool, right?
programmed into me. Maybe Will be disappointed as well if I tell him that I'm scared. So
Mm,
there you go. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. I feel like as a kid, when you were kids before, I believe my first reaction, I think my reaction at that time was like, I found it cool, right? That,
yeah.
your father had a gun. But now that I'm older, now that I've seen things or I know things more, I can just imagine how terrifying it must have been, right? Especially the fact that it was just the both of you at that time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you, man. I
Yeah,
really
and even if he was Jay's father, and it's still really scary because you can always do it accidentally when you put your finger on the trigger.
right, right,
It's really
Well,
scary. It can be
yeah, I guess
traumatizing
the mere
even.
fact that it was a gun, it just felt wrong at that time.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
It was wrong. Yeah, I mean, at no reasoning or no reason could ever exist for a father to show his child a weapon that could take a life. It's just especially a minor. That's just really
yeah, that's that's
wrong.
really wrong.
Wrong. It's wrong. It's super wrong. My goodness. So yeah, this really highlights the level of toxic masculinity that that's really ingrained in our culture. Um, weapon wielding, catcalling, and always believing you're right. It's really something that's super ingrained to most males, uh, especially in the Philippines, right? Where we have like this brusco this brusco culture. You have to for you to be called the best male, it's either you need to have the largest gun in the you need to wield the largest gun, or you need to show off all your wealth, or you need to have multiple partners.
Women, yeah,
Yes, multiple women, multiple partners in order for you to be called an alpha male. uh, we always have this concept that we have to one up each other to these types of things, and in the end, we just purvey or um we just really make the wheel go round, right? And misogyny and believing that males in themselves are dominant, uh in a sense.
yeah,
But
true.
yeah.
true.
But yeah, I think C and J were you guys were able to share really good experiences when it comes to toxic masculinity. You really showed that perspective of the being alpha or being strong. But in my case, if you guys would allow me to share, if that would be all right with you,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sure.
Of course, man.
there's also that one side of toxic masculinity where you feel entitled to certain things just because you're a male, right? And this, you don't necessarily have to be an alpha. It's more of like an internalized misogyny. Uh, you guys, see, Jay, you guys knew me since I was in high school, right? I wasn't really the best person. I admit that. But then again, one of the key things that I've always done in high school was that, or one of the key things, or one of the things that I've always supported in high school was this concept of chivalry, right? when
Hmm.
me,
I remember this. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's I might not have a similar or basically as a victim in a sense experience, but more of an experience as the purveyor of toxic masculinity. To our listeners out there, back in high school, I was this guy who's really into chivalry. Basically, doing things for doing things for girls in hopes that they would like me back, or in hopes that they would
So
um
you're a simp.
Well,
To
not really.
reciprocate.
Yeah, to reciprocate their feelings for me, right? But then again, in a sense, with all this talk about chivalry or all my concepts of chivalry, you might think I might have had like the best intentions when I tried to help them, when I tried to be courteous, when I tried to be gentle. But at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily because I respected them as women. It was because one, I felt entitled of reciprocity, and two,
Mm-hmm.
I felt as if males, since we were men, we were technically more dominant, and that females required our protection. I admit it's not it. This was I admit that this was a really wrong thing or a really wrong mindset to have before, and it is still a really wrong mindset right now. But yeah, uh, I used to do all of these things just to feel entitled to something, and I never really saw women as an equal. I saw myself more of as a protector, in a better sense, or for people, or basically in layman's terms, I was being a white knight. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and in a more modern sense, I was being a soft boy.
Yeah. Uh, I remember this kind of behavior. Not especially from you, but
Yeah.
when men do these kinds of things to women, uh, they always, or most, the case is always that they want it to be reciprocated, and women who are the other end always feel the need to, reciprocate because maybe these men will think that we are being ungrateful or we are
Mm,
not appreciative or their efforts, and
right.
it
Mm,
just really puts us in a rough spot. Like,
mhm,
what if we're really not interested with that guy, but he has done a lot of these, most of these efforts that other men do not, and we feel like they should be the one because they did all the effort, but you can't really choose.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
true.
really tell the heart what to choose. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Exactly. I mean,
again, I'm really sorry. See if you felt
No,
that way.
yeah, I'm not really talking about you, but yeah, it's just another perspective. Because
Yeah.
other men might still think this way, but it's really not that great.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. It's all about chemistry, but we're
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
chemistry.
not here about relationships. So, but yeah. So yeah, just to wrap things up in this like in our topic, right, of our own experiences for toxic masculinity. Um, we know that there are men uh who are very masculine, who are hyper masculine, who feel as if they can never be wronged, who feel that as if it's okay for them to catcall women, uh and who feel as if it's okay to brandish a weapon to a young child, right? But on the other spectrum, you also have white knights such as me before, who think uh who who are being gentle, but in a sense that they see themselves as a protector, only emphasizing or only driving home that concept of gender roles, or basically just conforming to gender roles. So we really see that there are a lot of different spectrums, or there are a lot of intensities when it comes to toxic masculinity. So the question really now is, with all of our experiences, with all of our combined experiences, how does this affect society in general? Or where is this uh, something that's really pervasive in a sense that it's already detrimental to the current social environment? Could I ask Jay to share his thoughts first?
oh, sure. I
Okay.
think it's not necessarily that it's already ingrained. I
Mm,
mean, now that I feel like there's actually more progress now than there was before because I mean before maybe decades ago we didn't even have this concept of toxic masculinity. We accepted it as normal. But we found that um, these types of behavior existed then, but they're considered normal. At least now we have the awareness that these types of things exist. I mean, thanks to the topic we had last week,
mm,
the Me Too movement, and then maybe just overall um, our realization that these things do exist.
right.
Um, that these types of emotions or these actions or tendencies that men do have negative effects on men and negative effects on women. So I believe that it's actually better now, and the
Mm,
whole but awareness is just part of the issue. I mean, it's just one part of the entire issue. So I'm glad that a lot of men are now aware about this. We're talking about it. But
mm,
the next step would be to oppose this sort of cultural tendency or this traditional line of thinking that men are supposed to act this way, women are supposed to act this way, men are supposed to be treated in this way while women should be treated this sort of way or so basically what we need to do I guess is to start with ourselves, internalize that this does exist, and then I guess when you the next time you think about it, it's or the next time that it happens to you wherein you're in a situation that you're feeling that there's some toxicity. If for example you're a male and then you're experiencing it that you're being pushed around or you feel like you're pushing other people around because you're expected to do so,
mm,
or for example you're raising your kid, just think about it this way. Gender roles are old fashioned, and I think it's more on you have to think about it that men or women are equal. There men and women aren't expected to act in one context or the other.
mm,
You just have to think of it that if you're a man, be the man that you ideally want to be, not someone that you're expected to be.
right.
So this ideal would be something that's conforming to society, but not that would support its toxicity. So I think that's not that simple, but it's something easy to think about, you know. And so
It's definitely a complex concept to
yeah,
wrap your
yeah, it's a
around.
complex concept, but
Yeah.
I think starting from that point of view, that you're not expected to act this way because society
Mm,
sees it, so you don't have to
mm,
do that. And then you're also not supposed to do this even if it's normal. So those are just things that
mm,
you need to remember if you're a guy.
right.
Yeah. So to
Basically,
avoid this type of toxicity. So yeah,
yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
Basically, what you're saying, Jay, is basically just treat the other person as a human being, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess yeah, that was
Yeah.
beautifully summed up. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
They,
great.
yeah, you don't see them as a gender. You don't see them as a, well, of course, you don't see them as a color. You don't see them as anything else but another human being that deserves or that has the right to decency,
yeah.
and respect.
Just be a decent human being. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Hmm.
How about you, C? How do you see this in our current society, or how pervasive is it in our current society? Does this, for example, is this deep seated? Is it also ingrained in our system that there is misogyny and there is systemized misogyny because of toxic masculinity? C, your thoughts?
Mm. Yeah. What Jay actually said is really great, no? It would
Mm,
be nice if men were told to think that way, to treat other people as other human beings equal to them, not just some gender. But I think this toxic masculinity goes way, way back history. I
Mhm,
understand the concept of strength and being the breadwinner and
mhm,
all that stuff that
mhm,
has happened in history, but I think when it goes on for too long and uh, people's nature to take advantage of stuff that's
mhm,
being normalized is, I think that's what's really toxic of it. It's more on toxic society, not just really men. Because
mhm,
when you say toxic masculinity, some men take it offensive. They feel
mhm,
attacked. They feel
mhm,
as if they're wrong just because
mhm,
they're masculine and
mhm,
normal things they do are wrong. I
mhm,
think it's more on the society, how they are being upheld, how men are being upheld, how they are supposed to be.
mhm,
And I think uh, it's also Jay also pointed out that it's because of awareness that we are talking about this now, and men
mhm,
are being called out because of
mhm.
it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're actually true. I mean, actually, both of you are true. We do live in a world where people are more aware of the certain things that's currently happening, especially when it comes to toxic masculinity. We've had several instances already that we've called out toxic we've already called out toxic masculinity, and of course we've also done things to improve the way uh men act around women. Of course, uh this is even supported in itself in legislation, right? For example, the Bawal Bastos Act, where we're already preventing people from catcalling, um uh or preventing people from actually catcalling and making other people uncomfortable, right? But I actually have this question, but I actually have two questions. My first question really is for you guys. For you guys, can hyper masculinity or can masculinity exist if in a world where we've actually uh successfully or have systematically already removed toxic masculinity? Can I think that's really the main critique for supporters of toxic masculinity, is that they feel as if we are feminizing um
Mm, yeah.
feminizing men, right? This actually this leads me to my second question. I believe earlier we were able to see that Gillette ad, right? The one that I showed you guys about. Uh, if in this case, in a world where we already started to call out toxic masculinity, then why was there such a hate, or why was there such a dislike on that Gillette ad? Who wants to start?
Uh, if I
Okay,
can.
okay.
Uh,
Go ahead.
uh, Regarding with the Gillette ad, I think I'm gonna start with your second question.
Sure.
Uh, when I saw that, for me, it was actually a great ad. It's
Mhm,
more of telling men to actually become great men just by being human. And what made me sad was that that ad got only 800K likes
mhm,
and over a million dislikes. And for an ad like that, for an ad that does or actually encourages the greater person in you,
mhm.
why does it have so much dislikes? Uh, for me, it's I think hyper. That's what maybe can encourage or like can lead to hyper masculinity existing, even if we have solved certain issues
Mhm.
with toxic masculinity. Because some men or maybe some women even think that it's not really toxic for them, but they think it's just, it starts with roughhousing or like fighting as kids, boys fighting as boys, and they will just say boys will be boys. But
Mhm.
if you carry those acts or behaviors throughout your lives, it actually becomes a part of you. And
Mhm.
when certain situations come wherein you have to act, when you have to act like a man, you
Mhm.
actually just act
Yeah.
like a boy just because of what you've grown with.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my take on this.
So it's really more more nurture
Mm,
rather than nature, right? You're right.
yeah, I'd like to
Actually,
think
yeah,
so.
you're right. Sometimes, or let's say, for example, when a man is provided a decision, they would most likely tackle that decision with how or
How would
depending
a
on
real
their,
man do this or something like that?
yeah, like for example, if they're faced with a difficult situation or it involves another person, they'd rather fight it out with them rather than actually going into a practical compromise, or not even a compromise, even through just a very good discussion on what are the different perspectives on certain things, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is why most fights exist, even if when adults fight. I think this is why they fight. They brawl because of that. Because they let their emotions take over their selves themselves. Yeah.
They basically say like, "I'm a man," I need
Yeah,
to.
I can take you on, so why can't? So why
Right,
shouldn't I?
right, right. How about you, Jay? What were your thoughts, or what were your thoughts on my two questions, in a sense?
Well, first off, I think Czar's correct in pointing that out. That yeah, it's more on nature than I mean, it's more on nurture than the nature of things. Because if you grow up in a society in which you think that these are correct, then you would, of course, in turn, do those things. Now, I think masculinity in itself can exist without without the catcalling, without the um, I mean stereotypical gender roles. Hey, if you want to be a man and you think that being a man involves being strong, headstrong, being just, supportive of people you love, and then being physically fit, then good on you. That's something
Mhm.
that you can do, but it should be within the context of you're not stepping on anyone, or um you're not in the wrong in doing toxic things like catcalling or stuff like that. You can be strong, you can be physically fit, you can be just and headstrong when tackling
Mhm.
decisions. That's
Mhm.
your thing. You can be that person. But you cannot say that that other person who cries, or that person who feels that there are moments that he's weak, who's not physically fit, who wants to just read a book, or who's not very showy about affections to women,
Mhm.
or doesn't have strong opinions on women, not a man, because he can be his own man. Just like the commercial we saw, the message there was actually pretty powerful. And yeah, it's pretty ridiculous that people didn't get it. That be your own man. You can be that headstrong person. You can be that person that's, the machismo, the strong Dwayne the Rock Johnson type of person.
Right, right.
But on the other hand, you can also be like this gentle, nature loving person or whatever. Just be you. Just it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Just treat other people like humans, and go think of how you should treat them with respect, with decency.
Mhm.
Otherwise, um, if how you're treating them is hurting them or insulting them or disrespecting how they are as people, as women, as men, then you're doing something wrong. That's not normal.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I think that's just my 2 cents on that idea of, can
Right.
masculinity exist without um, the toxic
Toxicity.
notion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, right? It really just boils down to like treating the other person with decency and respect, and just really believing that they're just another person that that you should actually be gentle to, or be considerate of, in a sense, right? So with all of this, right? Just to recap again, masculinity can exist for as long as we remove the toxic parts of it. We treat everyone with the respect that they deserve, the decency that they deserve, right? And you're right. It is quite for to me too. The Gillette ad was also very much ridiculous. Why it had so much hate for a fact that it had a really good message, and just being, being the best man that you can be, where it doesn't necessarily involve roughhousing, or it doesn't necessarily involve being mean,
Catcalling.
catcalling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're internalizing misogyny. So since we're nearing the end of our podcast for tonight, uh, let's go back to my question to see earlier this evening. See, what can we do? What can Jay and I do to make it more comfortable, or to make it to remove that concept of toxic masculinity? Or what can Jay and I do, or for the rest of our male viewers, you would want to tell us uh, on how we could best tackle toxic masculinity? See?
Mm. Aside from what Jay has repeatedly said to us, to treat people with equality and to be decent to them, it would also be great for other men to hold other men accountable for their actions.
Right.
Because when
yeah,
when
exactly.
other men do these toxic actions, this toxicity, uh, it sometimes is very. It's hard for women to talk back to them or to call them out because they
Mhm.
just lash out.
Right.
They just full on rage, like, oh, you're just a woman, so why are you just saying that? And it just they're showing their toxicity,
Mhm.
and it's really not a safe space. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you aren't allowed to be called out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's one that would be great. That would be a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think that's one of the things that we weren't able to talk about earlier, Jay. Actually calling out or holding other
Other
men
men
accountable
accountable.
of
Yeah.
their being toxic. How about you, Jay? Do you have any other do you also have insights? You might also have
Ah,
recommendations, or how best both you and I
actually,
actually
yeah.
uh,
Actually, I feel that that's something that I haven't been doing a lot, holding
right,
other men accountable.
right.
Maybe I should, because maybe like uh as I grew older, I started to realize these things, and yeah, I've tried to not be toxic, or tried to, as I said, just think of the other person with decency. How do I treat them with respect?
Mhm, mhm,
However, that's something that I haven't been doing um, like
mhm,
actively, calling
mhm,
out other people. I know like I have friends or
mhm.
family that are still within that traditional notion of being a man. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to take from this discussion with you guys today, and
Right.
hopefully apply it. And yeah, I think that's like my parting words, I guess. Or yeah,
Why are
yeah,
you you're making it sound like it's the last time we'll ever hear from you.
yeah.
Yeah, please don't
I-
let
Well,
it be it.
we'll be talking about more topics in the future. So I mean, about this, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah,
I'm gonna sum it up. Like end it.
Okay.
there, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. So, yeah, I agree with you, Jay. I agree with you. All of the things that we've discussed tonight are very much important. Internalizing or reflecting the fact that misogyny, toxic masculinity does exist in almost every male. Um, basically, once you've reflected, once you've internalized this toxic masculinity and you've acknowledged it exists, it's time that you start shifting your perspective into thinking of the other gender, or basically other people in a sense, as basic human beings, as another human being that requires respect and decency. But again, these are all. C was right. Uh, all the things that we talk about, these are all personal. Yes, we could be the best person that we could be, but are we actually holding other people accountable for it? Are we actually calling out other males when they're doing all of these toxic masculinity activities, or do we just continue, or do we just go on about our day and not care about them, right? uh
Mm.
what's uh what's concerning really is that even if a lot of guys have already, what do you call this, a lot of guys have made have reflected and have already changed how they feel, they haven't really necessarily called out any wrongdoings, and I think that's what's really lacking. Not even in general, more specifically even for myself when I see these things happen. So yeah, uh apart from personally reflecting and really improving your own perspective, it's also very much necessary to held to hold other men accountable when the situation comes, or even before the situation comes. So I think those are also my conclusionary thoughts. How
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
you? How about you, C? Do you have any other conclusionary thoughts
Uh,
or
I
any
think
final words?
I'll end with a tip for
Okay.
some girls or women out there who's
Mhm,
watching.
mhm,
I saw this somewhere that when men or maybe boys, when men say an offensive joke about women or a
mhm.
sexual
Yeah,
joke that's
yeah.
offensive to women, the key is to, and then they laugh about it. The key is to ask them what's funny about the joke, and then they'll just shut up. Uh, I think that'll be really effective. I
Mm,
think it will put them into place. It will make them reflect
mm,
on what they're actually saying. If
yeah.
what they're actually saying is really funny or is it really just plain offensive?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you so much, C. Actually, I would have loved to talk to you guys more about this. I think there are a lot of other things that we could have discussed. Like, for example, microaggressions. When we say microaggressions, basically, those things that we don't see as misogynistic are actually very much misogynistic. You know, and also the rampant objectification of women. That's also something that we could actually discuss more thoroughly. But unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time already for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's not enough to hear about.
right, right.
And
Yeah.
Uh, actually, this is one of my favorite talks so far between the three of us. I'm really liking this topic. Sadly though, we do need we're running out of time. Um, So, if it's okay with you guys, would it be okay with you if I uh already start with the conclusionary part of our program? See,
Yeah.
definitely go on.
Great. Yeah,
okay. Cool.
definitely.
So, thank you again, C. Thank you, C and J, for actually sharing all of your stories about toxic masculinity. Uh, I I'm I'm really sorry those happened to you, but I'm also proud that you were able to share with everyone your experience, because I know that's not a very easy thing to do. That's a super difficult thing to do, especially if it's very personal. So I'm proud of you guys. I'm sorry that it really happened to you. I hope that never happens again. And again, Jay and I will do our best. This that We'll do our best to help hold other men accountable when it comes to toxic masculinity. C and J, and all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Uh, we will be having other podcasts such as these. So if you really, if you've enjoyed the show, if you've enjoyed our talk, please tell us in the comments or at least in the live chat. What are the other things that you would want us to discuss? Thank you again. Like and subscribe, and uh,
Good
click that
night, y'all.
notification bell. To be
Ring the
reminded.
bell for the for the notifications and stuff.
Yeah, click that bell for that notification. Becoming
Yeah.
all right. So thank you again, guys. Thank you, C and J. CJ, do you also want to thank maybe you also want to thank the listeners for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, you
Go
go ahead,
ahead,
Jay.
John. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I'm loving how much feedback we're getting from like our viewers, and since I'm the one who's normally helming the stream, I really appreciate it when our viewers come up and tell us that maybe this is something we can improve. Um, maybe since we're quite new to this thing, this podcasting, we're loving that people are actually being very proactive with us and telling us how we can improve our stuff here. And yeah, I just keep that coming. We love the positivity that's giving us. It feels great when we're just sharing our opinions and our viewers are enjoying it too. So uh, as for our next topic, maybe you guys can provide us like ideas on what you want to hear from us. We would love to hear what your thoughts, especially um, at this time, goes are. Uh,
Uh, yeah, I'd like to thank the watchers we have now and also the constant viewers and our subscribers. And yes, to Shara Tabanao, the key is to knee them where it hurts. Yeah, if you want to go at it physically, you want to
uh,
yeah, I mean,
fight
if
with
the
them.
diplomacy fails and they go ahead with it, then yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
why
other
not?
way.
I think you have
definitely,
the right
bro.
to do so if they
Yeah,
fail to realize their mistakes. So
that's
yeah,
true.
thank you guys, and we hope to also hear your thoughts about this in the comments or in the live discussion,
Mhm.
wherever you feel safe
Okay.
or confident.
Okay. So thank you, C and J. Thank you again, viewers. We are the gray area. We talk about all of these wonderful stuff that people don't necessarily talk about in podcasts. So again, for recommendations, you may always put it in the comments below or in the current live chat. Like and subscribe. Click that bell for a notification. Is that right? Click that notification bell.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Of our next episode. So thank you, and we
Oh
will.
yeah, and to Luca Lopez, thank you for listening. And I'm glad that you agree with what we were sharing tonight.
Mhm.
And to the rest of the people listening, thank you as well.
Right.
Okay,
So thank you
goodbye.
again, guys.
Bye
Have
now,
a
guys.
good
We'll
night.
see you next week, same time. Yeah,
All right. Good night, and take care.
Night.
I ended the stream now, guys. We're good.